All right, Jim, no question, lots of reasons for doubt. But guess what? I want to show you a picture right now. Take a look at this. Do you know what you see right there? You see Senator Bob Corker and Senator Heidi Heitkamp standing next to each other. Corker's a Democrat, Heitkamp's a Republican. They're standing right next to each other.
I think they got it turned around.
Is this a picture? It's also a metaphor. Senators, thank you for joining us this morning. I appreciate it. Is this the right picture right now that I'm getting right now? Are the sides starting to come together, at least in the Senate?
Well, I certainly think so. I think when you look at it, 12 or 13 senators coming together at a table, people like Bob Corker working very hard behind the scenes within his caucus, working basically on the same kind of plan. I think it's going pretty well, and I think that it's kind of like, you know, not to criticize anyone, but the adults have taken over, and people who know that we need to get this country back working again, need to get government back up, we need to pay our bills, and then we need systemic long-term debt and deficit reform. And that's really a goal that's shared across the aisle. We're finally coming together, finding common ground.
Senator Heidi Heitkamp, Democrat from North Dakota, Senator Bob Corker, Republican from Tennessee. I know that those distinctions shouldn't matter anymore, but when I mix them up like that, it only brings the hate on Twitter. So let me get it straight. And then, Senator Corker, let me ask you this. When you look at this deal, it is good. We're hearing some optimism from your side. Senator Manchin said yesterday, I believe, we're at about 70, 80% toward a deal. Today, Senator Pryor said he believes a deal in the Senate will get done today. Where does the confidence come from, Senator Corker, that you and the Senate can get a deal done that will pass muster with your friends in the House, specifically from your party?
Well, look, I do think that people like Heidi and others have really helped move this along, and the fact that McConnell and Reid have come to a framework. There still are a few details, by the way, that are still being worked out, but I think that's a good thing. On the other hand, we're meeting with our caucus today at 11 o'clock, and there'll be a lot of conversations about a way forward. I know the House has a meeting this morning at 9, so there's still a lot in flux, but I agree with Heidi. I mean, the fact is we've got to figure out a way to move ahead. In fairness, on our side of the aisle, we've wasted 2 months focused on something that was never going to happen. I won't say that I did, but a number of folks did. And what we could have been doing all this time is focused on those mandatory changes that all of us know our country needs. And we've blown that opportunity. I hate to say it. And so now we are where we are. Hopefully, what we will do is set up a framework that allows us to now move ahead and finally, hopefully, address the major structural issues that our nation needs to deal with to get our fiscal house in order. But that could have been done this time. And I just think it's an absolute shame that we've wasted 2 months on something that was never, ever going to happen. And we said it was never going to happen on the front end, and yet we've had this process basically hijacked.
But Senator Heitkamp, I mean, while it's Corker's party, it's going to have to be your message. There are people on his side in the Senate and in the House who say, no, 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 it's not over. It's always been about getting after Obamacare, and we're not going to go anywhere until you address that, because we're not here to kick the can down the road like the rest of you. We're here to make change. What is your message to them with this deal?
Well, I think the message is that you've got to get government working, you've got to pay your bills, and you've got to do the systemic long-term debt and deficit reforms that we know are necessary. On the health care law, we've said over and over and over again, there's parts of it that I don't like. Let's have that conversation. But when it's all or nothing, then we don't get anything done. And we've delayed a lot of important bills like housing reform. We've delayed the farm bill. We've wasted a lot of time not just on getting a big and broad budget deal, but on all the other things that we're supposed to be doing, things like the farm bill, which is critical to my state.
Well, look, I've been calling your group that's developing in the Senate the third way, left, right, and reasonable. The 12 of you, Democrats and Republicans, seem to be saying what the country's wanted to hear all along. The first question is, Senator Corker, why did it take so long for us to get to this point, this obvious and simple conversation you're now having right in the twilight of this event?
Yeah. You know, I just think sometimes it takes a while for reality to set in. You know, look, we've predicted we were going to be where we are today a long time ago, and I don't know. This is to be candid, it's an embarrassment to me that we have spent all this time on a rabbit trail leading us to where we are. So look, I may not be the best person to be interviewed this morning. We've got a lot of work to do over the next 3 or 4 hours. There's a lot of tough sledding left. I do want to say, and I appreciate the comments you made about Heidi. She is one of the best people that has come to the United States Senate. She came here to solve problems. We're working together on a housing bill that I think will transform our housing finance system in a way that is going to be great for our nation. And I do want to thank her and all the folks who've helped get us to a place where at least we're talking about a solution. But look, there's a lot of work that's going to be done over the next 2 or 3 days. I don't think it's time to spike the football in the end zone yet.
Well, that's for sure. Go ahead, Senator, please.
I was just going to say, you know what, when you look at who's now involved, who's taking leadership, people like Bob Corker taking leadership, let me tell you, that's a reason for the country to be optimistic. I know he's a little crabby this morning because he's got a big lift ahead of him in talking to his caucus, but he's a great leader, and I think someone that really speaks to people in the entire Senate, not just people in his caucus. So I think we've got the right people in the room, the right people in leadership, and I think this deal's going to get done.
Well, look, that's the right note to hit. Certainly, that's what the American people want. You see it in the polls. Over 60% don't like your party, Senator Heitkamp. Over 75% saying they don't like the way your party is operating. So you're going to have to deal with public...
why it's so high.
That's right. You didn't think you were doing that well, I'm sure. Look, I appreciate you taking the time out to be here, though I have to warn you, if you two continue with this mutual admiration society, you may both get kicked out of your parties. So consider that going forward, and hopefully you can get the work done, because as we know, it all comes down to WWBD. What will Boehner do when he gets this bill? If he can't sell it to his caucus, it's not going to go anywhere. So hopefully you get that done. Senator Corker, Senator Heitkamp, thank you very much for joining us this morning.